Well, here we go. It's time for Video Office Hours. It's good to have you. I'm here video-wise on Google Plus Hangout. If you'd like to watch the live stream of this event, come on over to Google Plus and search for Click Millionaires Lifestyle Entrepreneurs. And if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio or later in iTunes or anywhere the podcast is syndicated, thanks for tuning in. You're going to get a half an hour of today's 1 hour show as a podcast. So we encourage you to come on over to clickmillionaires.com and watch the video later. You can also check out the YouTube channel or the Video Office Hours page on clickmillionaires.com or any other place it's syndicated around the internet. Just search for Click Millionaires, Video Office Hours, and me, Scott Fox. So I'm Scott Fox, and I'm here today to hopefully help you with your internet business. This should be a good time. I've got a bunch of questions from our audience, which is all over the world, as part of the membership of our clickmillionaires.com free forum. The free forum at clickmillionaires.com is open to anybody. Most folks that have joined have been readers of my books. I've written 3 best-selling books about internet marketing and how to find your niche in business and in life. The most recent of which was Click Millionaires, Work Less, Live More with an Internet Lifestyle Business You Love. And that one looks like this. This is a bestseller on Amazon.com and it's been translated into a bunch of different languages. In fact, one of the first things I wanted to share with you today was this. This is kind of cool, I thought. We've got a new translation here. I don't know if you can read this. Well, even if you can read it, you probably can't read it because this is in Polish. So this is the Click Millionaires Polish edition, which is looking pretty good. Nice art they did. A little bit better than some of the other translations. Sometimes when you go into a foreign country, they cheap out on the art, but our Polish friends did not, and this looks great. So thank you to our my Polish readers and our Polish publisher. And thanks to my friends at the American Management Association for making that happen. So we're going to talk today about internet marketing, lifestyle business development, how you can make something a little bit more of your life. That's really my mission. And the reason I do this, well, I've made plenty of money on the internet, more than most folks you'll meet, to be blunt. And I decided a few years ago that I thought that information should be shared more widely. I was in Silicon Valley sort of at the right time about 20 years ago and have been working online ever since, made a lot of money online for myself, for Fortune 500 corporations, for celebrities, for lots of small entrepreneurs and small business owners, maybe like you. So I turned around and I started writing this stuff down, and that became, well, like I said, I've written several books. The first one, if you don't know me, I'm literally the guy who wrote the book, Internet Riches. I literally wrote the book. I've gone on from that to write a few others, to do podcasts and video office hours like this for years now, and most importantly our forum at clickmillionaires.com, which is open to anybody who reads my books, or really to you too. We're not trying to keep anybody out who wants to join us. The sign-up will ask you for a referral code, so please go ahead and put video office hours and we'll let you right in. We just have that gating factor to keep out the bad guys. We've all been part of forums that get overwhelmed by spammers and scammers, and clickmillionaires.com is just not like that. So I'd be happy to help you, as would my staff and all the other friendly members who are part of our community from around the world. So I'd be happy to hear from any of you who would like to join us if you haven't already. In fact, we've got thousands of members, and it is happening live as we speak in the chat room and in the Q&A, and I'd be happy to hear from you too if you want to come over and join us. It looks like a lot of you are watching just the video stream, but if you want to turn on your webcam, you can come and join me live in the Google Hangout as well, and I'm sure some of you will be there shortly. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, today we're going to talk about, well, whatever you want to talk about. If we run out of questions, I'll turn the camera off. I'm here anyway. This is my office in Southern California, and I've got plenty of things to do. So we'll talk until you guys are tired. I'll take as many questions as we can, and if I can help you, let me know. The best way to do that is to come into the Google Hangout and use the Q&A app. And there we go. Well, for example, there's my friend Sergio from Argentina. Thanks for the sound check, Sergio. He says the sound and video are okay. Isn't this amazing? All the way from Argentina, you can see me here in California, and I know we have other viewers around the world too. So thank you to the Google gods for sharing this with us, and looking forward to hearing more from you, Sergio, as we speak. I know you posted a question in the forum just yesterday, which we could talk about some more here if you'd like. You'll have to remind me what it was. If you post it in the Q&A section, I will try to answer it. There's my friend Chuck from Dallas. Good to see you, Chuck. The Q&A app is, if you go, I'm not sure if it's this side or this side of your screen, but there's a little blue box either over here or over here that says Q&A. You click on that in the Google Hangout and pop that out, and that will allow you to post a question where I can easily see it. And of course, everybody who's here can watch the the chat room and participate there by talking to each other as much as you'd like. It's just hard for me to catch all the questions sometimes, so we're going to try this Q&A app and see if that enables me to keep up with things a little better once you guys all start talking among yourselves too. All right, so that's enough of the preamble, and welcome to everybody here, and let's take some questions. Let's get going here and talk about, well, internet marketing. Let's talk about search engine optimization. Let's talk about Facebook or Twitter or Facebook ads was a question we'll talk about in a couple minutes here. From, who posted that in the forum? Patrick, I think, wanted to talk about Facebook ads today. We're going to talk about strategies for using social media and whether Facebook is really worth the time. Sheila wanted me to talk about how we can grow an email list, how to help her get her email list going, and hopefully some of the others of you will have questions as well. So we're looking forward to hearing from and seeing all of you. And here we've got Mike Adams checking in from Nashville. Good to see you, Mike. Happy to have you. And there's my friend Chuck on the video camera as well. Hi, Chuck. Nice to see you. Good to see you. So let's keep going here and get off with our first question. And if you are all hearing me and seeing me okay, which I guess is okay, because we've got Sergio confirming that all the way from Argentina. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just checking this Q&A app. I haven't used this live before. And okay, so people are saying hello, and that's fantastic. Okay, super. So let's get going. Let's see here. Mark, that's Mark in the video camera there. Sorry, Mark, not Chuck. It's hard to tell the difference. I've got little pictures of you this big, right? So if you have a question, Mark, raise your hand, and I'll put you on live on the camera if you'd like. Otherwise, you're just, well, you can lurk. That's fine too, or you can type it in the Q&A, whatever works for you, Mark. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's start with let's see. Let me see. I said we'd talk about email and Facebook ads. I've got printed these out to try to get this going here, so let me just see. Let's talk about search. Well, this is a big picture question from Paul. Paul's one of our most loyal members in Singapore, and he had a good sort of overarching question that can help set the stage for this. And if you're new to our video office hours series or the forum, maybe this will be sort of helpful. This is kind of a big picture question, and then we'll get into some more specific. There's Lori. Hey, Lori, good to see you from New York. Paul posted, I would like to know more about social media and what strategies we can use to attract new customers into our websites. And thank you, Paul, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so Paul, that's a big question. Obviously, I've written whole books about that. Like, for example, my second book, which was this one, this is a marketing book, E-Riches 2.0. It's actually called Next Generation Internet Marketing Strategies. So this is a couple years old, but this introduces people to the concepts behind social media. It's a couple years old, so it has a chapter like about MySpace, which doesn't really matter anymore. But the concepts of how to think about social media, I think, would be really helpful to anybody asking this sort of question. So that's E-Riches 2.0, available Amazon.com, anywhere books are sold, et cetera, and even some other languages. But my answer to Paul is this. I've got 3 thoughts for you, Paul. Here's an overview of social media strategies and how you can use them to attract more customers in general. I've got 3 pillars of this. One is for people who come looking for you. The other is when you do outbound marketing. And the third is advertising. So the first is this. People come looking for you. The beauty of the search engine ruled world that we live in online, the Google world that we all just live in, is that people, millions, in fact billions of people now are searching all the time for stuff. So the first thing I would do, and this isn't necessarily social media as you asked about, Paul, it's really SEO, search engine optimization, is optimize your site so that it attracts those searches. If people come looking for lawn furniture and you're selling lawn furniture, make sure your site screams that out to Google in all the appropriate ways. So we can talk about that more if anybody wants to, but that's a topic unto itself. And we can talk about it more in the forum, of course, if anybody wants to follow up on that, or even here later in the broadcast, okay? So first is to optimize your site so that you can just naturally have people come to you. That's the beauty. And honestly, that's kind of how things were, well, 6, 8 years ago, certainly 10 years ago. You could just kind of put up a site and people will come and find you. It was great. But obviously, there's a lot more people online now, and it's not quite that easy. There's a lot of competition in the more lucrative niches. But you still want to make sure you optimize for search engines for your niche just to get those people in there so that you show up in Google in the right places. This is like the foundational work that you need to do on any website, and I would do that before you even start out with all the social media stuff, because it will pay dividends, and if you get it right the first time, you won't really have to think about it a lot. A quick side note, search engine consultants will try all the time to tell you you need to update this stuff, and they'll try to put you on monthly retainers, and I say no to that. If you're a small niche business, you can probably do your SEO pretty well once and only update it maybe once or twice a year. Okay, and I have sites that I haven't updated in years that still rank well because they're in a very specific niche. So don't overdo the SEO either. That's why I say do it first, get it out of the way. Okay, second, the next big one is going out. And this is where social media really happens, Paul and everybody else is listening. And social media is really about being social. So the trick to using social media, Paul, to recruit people to your website or to clickmillionaires.com, he was generous enough to add how can we find new members for clickmillionaires.com as well. He's a loyal member, one of our Community Star winners. In either case, social media turns traditional marketing on its head. Traditional marketing and advertising was just kind of a blast, and you hope that people picked it up. The reverse is true online today. The internet is so full that you need to first identify who your customers are specifically, and then figure out where they hang out. That's, again, this is what I talk about the strategies in eRiches 2.0. I'm not trying to push this book down your throat, but I explain it better in here than I'm going to do today. So eRiches 2.0, there's several chapters about this strategy. Find out where they are, and then go engage them where they already are. It's really hard to make a lot of noise just on your site and then expect people to just magically show up. But that's the beauty of social media. There are people out there talking about, geez, pretty much everything. And if you can go find out where those conversations are taking place, you can go and engage them. So from a social media point of view, this means if you're selling lawn furniture, are the lawn furniture people on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Maybe they're on Pinterest comparing pictures. Maybe they're on YouTube making videos. You know, there's all these different places you can go. And it's really hard, especially if you're a solopreneur, to do all of them. So you want to find where you can get the biggest return on your investment. Find where your customers are already, and then use that social media to, wait for it, be social. That's how it works. So if your friends in the lawn furniture business are all on Twitter, then get on Twitter and start tweeting. And don't be a jerk and just tweet sales offers and talk about yourself all the time. Be social. Social media is like a cocktail party. You don't want to be the guy at the cocktail party that everybody avoids because all he does is hand out business cards. You want to be the guy at the party or the gal who's telling funny stories and every now and then mentions that he has a business that might be helpful to you. And that will work in any social media platform. And even if the lawn furniture guys already have maybe a specific forum, that's where I would start these days. Any topic, lawn furniture aside, will probably have a forum where people are already talking about this stuff. And those are very concentrated customer markets in whether you're selling chiropractic equipment or health supplements or diet remedies or how to be a better marketer or be a better father or any of this stuff. Whether it's info products or physical products, there's probably one or several places online where your customers are already. And this is what I talk about in eRiches 2.0. You want to engage those people on a distributed basis. So you want to get out and distribute, meaning spread your engagement. And I would pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 places at most, and really dig in and make friends in social media. And then those people will start to listen to you, and that's a bonus in in 2 ways, because you've made some new friends, and they start to listen to you, which can lead to business and referrals and all the other nice things about social media. So I hope that's helpful to you and gets you. Oh, and I said there was a third one. So the third pillar is another obvious one, but this requires a budget. The beauty of those first 2, pretty much free. Search engine optimization and being involved in social media. Of course, they take plenty of time, which is not free, but on a cash basis, they're free. The third one is advertising. If you want to advertise, the internet is super targeted and is a great way to find the people that you want to meet, because you can direct ads directly to the people that are looking for stuff like that. So on Google's AdWords, you can do text-based ads or image ads that specifically show up only when somebody searches on the keywords lawn furniture. Or they will also allow those to be displayed on websites and blogs that talk about lawn furniture. And you only pay if somebody clicks on the ad, so it's very cost effective compared to traditional 20th century marketing. The other place, of course, is Facebook, and we have a question about Facebook ads in a minute, so I'm going to talk about that. But Facebook ads can be very targeted and are a lot cheaper than Google ads these days, so that's another thing to do if you have a little money to spend. And I mean a little. I mean like 15 bucks, 50 bucks. You don't have to have $5,000 to be an advertiser anymore. If you had 50 bucks a month, you could make a dent internet if you're niche targeted enough and write some good ad copy. But that's a topic for another moment. So I hope that's helpful to you, Paul. Thanks for writing in from Singapore. It's great to have you with us, and I hope you're watching today. I'm not sure what time it is over there in Singapore. Probably morning. I know it's 5:30 in the Philippines because Patrick is going to tune in from the Philippines. I hope you're out there, Patrick, up awfully early. And if so in Singapore, it's maybe 8:30, maybe breakfast time for you, Paul. So I hope you're enjoying us and joining us today. Thanks for all your support and participation in the forum. In fact, Paul is one of our Click Millionaires community stars. And I want to just thank several of these people. Our forum is a busy place, and it's largely due, well, of course, I'm there all the time helping people as much as I can, and some of my staff members are too. But we have folks who are really involved in the forum, and they not only learn a lot, which is a plus for them, they actually get paid. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But I want to thank for July Adam, Rosalind, Victor Tan, Sheila Rogers, and Lopo On, known as Paul. And last month, some of those same characters were busy with us, and we've had folks from all over the world who participate, and they've gotten the Community Star Award as well as some actual cash. We actually run what I think is the first and only revenue-sharing program on the internet for forum members. So if you're listening to this and you haven't gotten busy at clickmillionaires.com, I invite you to do that. We actually take half of our banner ad revenue and give it back to the audience members. Now, I don't know any other site that does that. Like I said, I've made plenty of money online already, and I've been trying to give back to folks in terms of knowledge for years. We use a lot of the profits from my books and from the forums to give college scholarships to disadvantaged kids, and those posts are on the forum as well, if that's interesting to you. And now we're actually giving cash to the individual members who participate the most. So this is a win-win-win for you if you'd like to get involved, and we'd be happy to help you. And you can find more information about that, of course, at clickmillionaires.com under the Members tab, which would be kind of up there in the menu. And you pull down, and there's details on Community Stars and on the Community Cash Program. All right, so let's keep moving here. And thanks, I see folks piling into the questions area. Let's see here. Let's see. Lori says hi, and okay. So lead pages. All right, so this is our friend Chuck. Chuck's checking in from Dallas, was asking if we could talk about lead pages or anything similar. I'm not super familiar with lead pages, Chuck, but my sense of that, and you guys can jump in the chat room if I'm off base here, or especially you, Chuck, since you probably know a fair bit about it. When I last looked at it, if I'm thinking of the right place, lead pages is a SaaS, meaning a hosted service that helps you create essentially a squeeze page, which is a page designed to entice a visitor into giving you a lead, an email address, contact info, or something like that. And it's a hosted service that you pay for on a monthly basis. I think that's what it is. And if that is correct, then take this answer as correct. And if it's not, correct me in the chat room, and I will move on and adjust my course accordingly. But if that's correct, then lead pages, last time I saw it, was a nice looking site or service, I should say, that helps people who are not internet sophisticated, not web designers and programmers, to build nice looking web pages quickly. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Is that Chuck responding? No. Okay. That is a valuable service. Anything that gets you up and moving online, I'm a big fan of. For example, I love plug and play, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, website templates. And those sort of templates are out of fashion these days because people love WordPress. Love WordPress. WordPress is great if you know what you're doing. But you can really go down a lot of rabbit holes with WordPress. And as a guy who has advised hundreds, maybe thousands of early stage entrepreneurs at this point, the biggest, most valuable resource you have is your time. And when you're new, it's so easy to get caught up in technology and lose your focus and get distracted and lose your enthusiasm and then just lose it all. you lose your enthusiasm and it's over. So my point is, WordPress is great if you're ready for that. If you're not, there's a bunch of website builder recommendations on the website, and we can talk more about it in the forum, or we can talk about it now if somebody wants to. But Lead Pages is the kind of solution that will allow you to get up and going quickly. It will cost a little money. Chuck says my interpretation was correct. Good, so I'm on the right track. Chuck, maybe you could add, what does it cost these days? I think it's like $9.95 or $19.95 a month, that sort of thing. If it gets you up and going, fantastic. So full stop. Now, a new point would be, if you start to know what you're doing and you have some decent graphics help, then I think that they start to be not such a good deal. All right, they're really trying to help the brand newbie get going, and I'm fully in support of that. Okay, but if you are doing a bunch of lead pages of your own, you start to figure out some HTML, you can use an easy-to-use system like TypePad or Jimdo or Moonfruit or Wix. There's lots of these site builders out there, or even do your own hosting deal with Bluehost, that kind of thing, and put up a bunch of quick sites using a similar HTML template, and then you have a lot more control over it, and you're not paying that monthly fee to them. So that's kind of, I'd give it like an 80% yes, but a 20% no on Lead Pages, if that's helpful, because I think you can start to do a lot of this stuff yourself. The biggest trick is copywriting and graphics. Copywriting is something that is a learned skill. It is definitely harder if English is not your native language. For example, in our MasterMinds forum, we have a wonderful lady who's actually a writer. English is her 5th language, I think, so she's a little hesitant about doing her own copywriting, and at that point, there's no question of her intelligence and ability. It's just simply a language issue, right? So you may need a little copywriting help, or you may need graphics. Graphics these days are cheaper than ever. Sorry for my friends who are graphic designers, but you can go to Fiverr and get lots of graphics. My favorite, I often recommend my friends at Logo Nerds, which are affiliate link if you'd like to check it out. It's cheaplogoinfo.com. And the best one is actually a service I run myself called easygraphicsmaker.com. Just like it sounds, easygraphicsmaker.com. And this is a one-time purchase that gets you into it's an online software suite. You can actually make a lot of the great graphics you need for a lead page. There's a banner creator for headlines that are like kind of pow with good colors and fonts and stuff. Then there's a testimonials box creator and a guarantee creator and a bullet point creator. There's like 6, I think it's 5 or 6 modules of things that you can just type, and you don't have to know anything about graphics because it's all just menus, and they're all laid out already, and they look cool. Then you save them as a JPEG to your computer, and you've got all the pieces you need for a lead page. And that is a one-time purchase for, I think it's $39 or something like that. I haven't looked at it lately. easygraphicsmaker.com. I recommend it all to you. I bought the rights to this software myself because it was so easy to use. I use it myself. Okay, this is for real. easygraphicsmaker.com. If you go to some of my lead pages, you'll see those graphics, and you'll be like, I know where you got those. All right. So, okay. Oh, so thanks for chiming in, guys. Jim says lead pages is $37 to $67 to $97 a month. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so that definitely kind of tilts my argument. I think I said a minute ago 85% in favor of lead pages. Maybe it's only more like 50-50 now. Oh, you can buy an unlimited package for $25 a month. Okay, so they've got some tiers there. That makes sense. You'd have to figure out your need for that. And Lori says, yeah, a bit expensive. Chuck says, yeah. Okay, that all looks good, and thank you, Jim, Chuck, and Lori for the commentary there. So yeah, sounds a little expensive to me if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, you got to get on with things, and I think that that's something you should be doing. So you might as well get a start. This is one of those things, and I actually have a quotation at the end of the show. We end the show with a quotation. I've got a quotation that drives exactly to this point. So many of my members and readers, and this includes you guys, they spend so much time building things in their heads, and they can think that they can figure it all out beforehand, so that when they finally sit down at the keyboard, they're just going to be freaking Mozart, right? And they're just going to, Beethoven, the 5th Symphony is just going to somehow spit out of their fingers and instantly build this amazing, internet empire. It's just not going to happen. You've got to get out of your head and build some stuff and interact with some customers and adjust course. You've got to do it. You got to plan a little. I'm not saying skip the planning, but however, if you're going to do this much planning, cut it in half. Get on with it and engage yourself with lead pages or TypePad or WordPress or YouTube or whatever it is. The doing is where the learning comes. The thinking just is not going to get you there. Anyway, so that's a quick side sermon. Hope that's helpful. Okay, so that's a good, thank you, Chuck, for the lead pages question. And looks like we've got a bunch of folks who have chimed in on that, and so I guess that was a good question to discuss. All right. Next, let's see, back to my community question. Sergio checking in from Argentina. And Sergio, I didn't see you post your question. If you wanted to, you certainly could. He says, in my opinion, the best way to success online is to make or create a community, bring value to them, interact with them, and only then we may sell them something of value to the community. But like, thank you, like click. Happy to follow up with that. I think it was a multi-level marketing question, wasn't it? You can post that, and I'd be happy to talk through that as well. All right. So Terry says, "Hey Terry, nice to see you. It's been a while, but good to see you. Good afternoon, Scott. Loved reading your books. Could you talk about list building techniques? I've seen different things in place, but my issue is I have a list, but only 7% of it is actually opening my newsletters. Should I start clearing the list?" Great, Terry. Thank you for asking this question. This dovetails perfectly with my question from Sheila, who is one of our Community Star winners and a good friend of me. And Sheila says something similar. My next step is growing an email list. I'm getting a freebie together. I have an email collection box, etc. Here's my question. What tools can I use to help grow my email list? I'm considering a pop-up, but I don't know which one is best. There must be other ways to get people to sign up. Okay, so same idea, Terry. So let's talk about email list building. Email list building is, I think, still the #1 opportunity for anybody listening to this. Social media continues to get all the coverage. It's the media, I guess, for some reason, right? And they love to talk about other media, Twitter, Facebook, blah blah blah. You know, Instagram, Pinterest, podcasting. And I see a question about podcasting here, so we'll get to that in a moment. All of those things are good, but I think that email is still the king because that's where people actually do their work, and because it's an asset you can create for yourself. It's really hard to own anything on Facebook or Pinterest. Really hard. You kind of can own a list on Twitter, but you know the interactions are so short and they have to be synchronous, meaning at the same time. You've got to be awake 24/7 to talk to people. Email is the best. So how to build a list. So Terry says only 7% of it opening your newsletters. Well, 7% is not as bad as you may think, Terry. I would say industry averages are something like, I would say in the low teens, 12 to 15 perhaps, certainly between 10 and 20%. Anybody that's got more than a 20% open rate on an email list is, the list is either brand new and people are just excited and it's really a hot thing, so people are really paying attention, or they're lying. Because a list that is at least a year or two old is going to have hundreds if not thousands of people who aren't paying attention anymore and may not even be using that email address anymore. So it's just natural for an email list's deliverability to decline over time, unfortunately. So the trick is that you want to have a list that's fresh and full of good content. And I hear from my friends at Blog Talk Radio this show is about to end. You can check the rest of the podcast live over at clickmillionaires.com or at our YouTube channel and watch the video. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for tuning in for Click Millionaires audio office hours. Now back to you, my friends, on the video side. So if your deliverability is going to decline over time anyway, the way to make more money by building your list is to, well, first you could clean your list off, right? You could clean it out. I always hope that those older sign-ups are eventually going to open my emails. You know, it might be a fantasy, but unless you're paying a lot of money for the hosting and serving of those individual emails, I don't see much reason to clear out the list. Those people signed up once, you know, maybe they're just on vacation for a couple of years. You know, maybe they'll show up. You know, I'm an optimist, obviously. So, you know, but I think I had 2 of these discussions actually this week with our MasterMinds members about they're worried that they're collecting so many emails that the email list was getting larger and it was going to bump them into a higher tier of service, a higher tier of pricing, with their email provider. One was with AWeber and one was with Constant Contact. And when you get up above the 25,000, you get up to 50,000 emails on your list, it's tempting to not want to pay that. It gets expensive. It's another $150, $250 a month sometimes. But I said to them, if you're not growing, you're dying. The internet is expanding. So if you don't see that as a cost of doing business that you're happy to pay, then I think your attitude needs to be adjusted. I said it nicely, but you've got to keep growing, and paying that $350 a month, that's fantastic. It means you've got 50,000 people on your email list. Why wouldn't you do that? So anyway, so how do you get people to open them more, Terry? Well, it really is about the content and the freshness and how interested they are in what you're saying. I don't know how else to put it. Maybe we should talk a little bit in the forum. You're a member at clickmillionaires.com. Come on over and start a discussion about good subject lines. The subject lines are critical to get people to open. And then about what your content is. Is it actually interesting? Is it something that if you got it yourself, would you want to read it? Or are you spamming your own people? I'm sure you're not. You're a smart guy, but what may seem helpful to you may seem spammy to other people. I get accused of this all the time. I get excited about my own products and I talk about them too much, and some people think I'm spamming them. I'm like, sorry, I love Click Millionaires. Easy Graphics Maker is great. You should buy it. What else am I going to say? But anyway, I think your own content is probably, unfortunately, where you need to look, and the first and most critical place is the subject line. Now let me move on to Sheila, had a little more specific about tools. She asked about pop-up tools, pop-up windows and things like that. Pop-up windows everybody hates, including me, but they work. So it's hard to argue with adding a pop-up window to your site, Sheila, if you want to get more email subscriptions. They just work. The thing is, you want to have a pop-up tool that has enough controls that it doesn't blast people every time they show up to the site. You should have a cookie. It should have a cookie on it, so that it can only ping people who are new, or maybe only the first 4 times they visit, or every 6 days, or whatever frequency you feel is appropriate. Now, as to which tool to use, one of the reasons I like the AWeber email system is that they actually include pop-ups, the scripts for pop-ups, as part of their free service. And that's a bonus, because obviously the pop-up technology is something that you might have to pay for elsewhere. For WordPress, there are a bunch of plugins. I hesitate to recommend a specific one, but there are a lot of folks who have made pop-ups of different sizes and shapes. There's pop-ups, and there's pop-overs, and there's hovers, and there's takeovers, and there's light boxes. All these things are sort of a matter of taste and really of testing to see what converts the best for you. So I would look around a little bit, and that's, again, probably a good question for the forum to see what ones other people have experience with and what they might recommend. The other tool I would suggest is a more fundamental one and not a technical one, and that is, well, actually there's 2. The one is the offering of what some people call an ethical bribe, a freebie. What are you going to give me for giving you my email address? What are you going to give me, an ebook or a video or an exclusive pass to something, right? That little bribe is really important these days because it can just push people over the edge. It's also important to have a good graphic of whatever the bribe is. If you just say, sign up for my list and get my top 10 tips for XYZ, that's better than nothing, but a cool little graphic, like a 3D graphic of the ebook or the stuffed animal or whatever it is you're giving them, will attract a lot more visual attention and therefore a lot more signups. So it's not just the product that you're giving away, it's the visual appeal of the product, the graphic itself. And again, I think that's a great thing you could do at Fiverr.com or cheaplogoinfo.com, or lots of services that can help you whip up a cool looking little ebook cover. So that would be a good one. The other is something that actually our friend Kevin posted about just the other day, about conversion colors. Conversion colors. This comes down to the design of your email, your list building box. Literally, the color of the sign up button can make a difference. And this is something that Kevin talked about in the forum this week, because I did a review for him, a website review of his site, and actually that video is posted on the site this week as well, where I talked about his sign up process. I did this a month or 2 ago, but he has since taken my advice, changed the colors of some of his buttons, and he's seen a great increase in conversion. And I'm not just talking about emails, I'm talking about customers. He's actually increased sales by simply changing the color of the buttons. So I would look at the visual appeal of your email sign-up. You know, is it just small and ugly and not attractive, or is it too big and garish and distracting? You know, this is a Goldilocks sort of solution, not too big and garish and not too small and ugly, but somewhere just right in the middle. Something like cool, professional, has an attractive little goodie, a freebie, a freemium that I get for signing up, and that it is repeatedly shown to people. That's the other thing that people miss. They put it just on the home page, or they put it below the fold. It should be up in the header on every page or in the sidebar, someplace prominent, every page. The email list building is the most important thing you're doing. It's even more important than the sales that you're making today, because the internet's getting bigger, and the sooner your list gets bigger, the sooner you can have an impact and start generating the revenue that will help you build a better site and get more email addresses and make more money. It's a virtuous cycle. So that's my my 10 cents, more than 2 cents, but 10 cents on email list building. I hope that's helpful, Terry, and to Sheila as well. Thanks for being here today. Wow, we're half through already. I'm talking fast. I hope I'm making sense to everybody. Everybody, can you all still hear me and see me? I've hesitated to stop here, but the microphone, it looks like it's kind of cutting in and out. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me? Let me know. Yeah? Okay, Mark, give me the thumbs up. Thank you, Mark. On the soundboard back there. It's like I'm on stage and you're back at the soundboard. You know, like, hey! All right. Okay, so Lori says, let me clear out the Q&A here a little bit and see who else has joined us here. Lots of lead pages here. I'm not thinking that this Q&A thing is any better than the chat room. It's making it actually harder for me to keep up with you guys. So you can let me know what you think. Okay. Lori has a question. Yes, okay, there it was. I knew you said something about podcasts. I love podcasts. Let's talk about podcasts. I just finished one. You heard me, right? I did the first half hour of this live on Blog Talk Radio. Oh, I know I wanted to talk about first. Sorry. I mentioned that thing that Kevin had posted, and I wanted to mention some of the other cool discussions that are going on in the forum this week. If you haven't been there this week, or if you're new to this show or the clickmillionaires.com approach, these are some of the discussions we're having in the forum, and I'm sure that one of these would appeal to you. Matthew posted about his success with YouTube and social media to build traffic. Excellent, good job, Matthew. Digital nomads. This is an article that the Lonely Planet travel guide blog posted, and they actually included Click Millionaires as one of their resources, so thanks to Tim Tuffle. But it's got some great examples of people who are digital nomads who are making money while they travel around the world. Pretty cool. Mike, who's here today, posted a question about acquiring rights to an online course, how much to value it for, and what to consider in his negotiations. I think we gave him some good advice there. Don Jones, one of our many friends from Down Under, had some questions about ebook pricing, and we kind of thrashed that out. Terry posted a great overview of outsourcing. Terry recently relocated from Seattle to Ecuador in pursuit of a Click Millionaires lifestyle, and he realized that he had too much going on. He started outsourcing, and he wrote a great guide to outsourcing, posted it on the forum, and it's under the title, A Chance to Avoid 30-plus Years of Underproductivity. So these are his 30 years of advice. He finally figured it out, outsourcing. I posted about your August plans, if you've got good vacation plans this August. By the way, I'll be out of the forum the next 2 weeks on vacation myself, but I hope you all have a good time and are nice to each other. We have a website tune-up community clinic where Art has posted his Tai Chi and Qigong website for critique from the community. He's getting some good advice for free there. I can go on and on here. There's great stuff that people are really helping each other. The two others I wanted to mention were a couple questions about domain names. Both Terry, different Terry, and Jonathan posted about domain names. You know, there's a video, guys, on the site. If you go under, let's see, it's under How to Build a Website. The first tab under How to Build a Website in the main menu on clickmillionaires.com is a video from me that's titled How to Pick a Domain Name. And I would love it if people watch the video, because it's a lot more than I can communicate in a quick forum post, right? So if you see people asking about domain names, point them to the video. That will help everybody, including me. And it's a useful video. So Jonathan and Terry, if you're watching this now or in the replay, check out that video. And then last, Kevin posted about WordPress 3.9.2 is out. So that's probably an update that folks who are using WordPress need to do. Want to get the word out about that for security reasons. And then Chuck had posted, not this Chuck, but a different Chuck had posted a question about me and my career, the history of Scott Fox, and that was nice of him to post that. I don't usually talk too much about the specifics of my career and how I got here today, but if you're interested in the dirty secrets that led me to being here with you today, you could check in at clickmillionaires.com, and there's a post there about my career path and how I failed big time more than once before I got to be where I am today as the first Click Millionaire in the world. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead, and thanks Chuck for his interest in my personal sordid life. All right. So we were going to talk about podcasts, I think we're next, and podcasts are a question from our good friend Lori, and Lori is a MasterMinds member as well as a ClickMillionaires.com free-form member, and has been for a while, and has been a really helpful person, has won our community featured member awards and things like that, so good to have you here, Lori. Let's talk about podcasts. Oh, and if any of the rest of you like this sort of coaching, you get more of it during video office hours here than I can do in the forum. There's thousands of members there, so it's me and my staff doing the best we can to keep up with people. But the Masterminds forum is a much smaller group. I work directly with everybody in there, and if that's interesting to you, you can go to mastermindsforum.com and upgrade your membership, or there are links, of course, at clickmillionaires.com. They're up in the menu up there, and it tells you what you get and all this, what it costs and so forth. But I think it's a pretty good deal. And I'm happy to help you if you'd like to upgrade to mastermindsforum.com. Now, podcasts. So are podcasts, do I think audio podcasts or video podcasts are worth the time in terms of getting customers? Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it except a big yes. I guess I'm hesitating because there's a kind of two different worlds. Audio and video are kind of different worlds. Video puts you in competition on YouTube, which is a much bigger world that honestly I don't know as much about, and it has grown so much. But video is clearly the coming thing, clearly. So it wouldn't hurt you to be there. Podcasts are what I've been doing since I've been doing videos that long too, but podcasts are something I've been doing a lot more of for a lot longer time. And I have to say, honestly, if there was one thing, I've made lots of mistakes, as anybody has who's adult enough to recognize it and admit it. I could have done more podcasts. I was an early podcaster, not super early, but 2008, and people loved my podcast. I used to get fan mail all the time. Not because I'm a genius, but I'm a pretty good talker, and I was doing it, talking about this stuff in a podcast format before many of the other guys who are out there and gals who are out there doing it now. I was years ahead of them. And if I had done more of that, I'd probably, be 3 times as big as I am now, if not more. So I think that opportunity still exists. I think that podcasting is more crowded than it used to be, as my example just suggested. But I also think that podcasting is fantastic, and this applies to video too, because it allows you to get personal. Like, you guys are here. We're together right now. I can even see some of you, right? Today we're not do so much back and forth talking, but you have a personal connection with me, and that personal connection leads to trust, and people buy things from those they know, like, and trust. That's all there is to it. Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything today, but all of you are here because you're interested in selling more things, and an audio podcast is a great way to literally get in between people's ears and let them get to know you. Now, podcasts are not hard to do. People in the podcasting community make them a lot harder than they have to be. You can get all caught up in microphones and blah, blah, blah and stuff, but you can do a podcast simply by picking up the telephone with a free Blog Talk Radio account, and your podcast is available worldwide, even syndicated to iTunes. You could do that like literally in the next hour. You could be on the air podcasting. So don't get hung up in the technicalities. Of course, your sound could always be better. And I'd love to have James Earl Jones's voice too, right? You could always sound better, but you're you, and that personality that comes through is hopefully what's going to help you. So I recommend it big time. But because it's crowded and it's easy to do, you need to find a niche. Find a niche and nail it. And just like Sergio said earlier, something about finding value and offering it to your community to help it grow, that sort of thing, that's the same thing applies for a podcast. A podcast is a lot like a forum or a blog or any other audience channel. You got to give enough to keep people engaged. And Lori, if you're considering that, then let's talk about it more. You're a MasterMinds member, so let's come over to MasterMinds forum and we'll talk about it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it can be a lot of fun to do, at least if you like to talk. All right. So, oh, Lori, thanks, Lori. Says, definitely MasterMinds is great and more personal coaching from Scott. Hooray. Thank you, Lori. So, okay. So, all right. Let me see if we got some more here in the forum. Oh, follow-up question from Lori. Do you ever use Vimeo? Are video podcasts included on iTunes or any apps or sites? Vimeo. I have used Vimeo in the past. I haven't lately. You know, I gave up on all the other video sites about 2 years ago, maybe even 3, because YouTube just crushed everybody. I mean, YouTube is the one, right? So you can use Vimeo or any number of other places if you want to host videos of your own, like for a sales page or something, and you don't want distracting YouTube links on it and stuff. That's totally cool. But if you're going to post stuff to try to build an audience, YouTube. There's not even a close second, right? You know, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's right after Google. It's bigger than Bing or Yahoo. It's probably bigger than them put together. So YouTube is absolutely the place to put your material if you're trying to build an audience. And then, what was that other? Sorry, you had a second part of that question. Or video podcast included on iTunes or any apps or sites? I don't know, Lori. What you can do is actually what I do, as you saw me doing, is I figured out that, you know what, you could do a podcast and a video cast at the same time. You just need 2 microphones. So right now, as I speak, I'm giving away a trade secret here for anybody interested in this sort of thing. I've got a microphone right here in the webcam, and I just had this plugged into my mobile phone, and this was dialed into Blog Talk Radio, right? That's just a typical headset, right? And those are both recording at the same time, and that way I have a podcast done that goes out to iTunes when I'm done with this, 2 for 1. That's a secret. It took me years to figure out, and it's yours for free. All right, so hope that's helpful. And happy to talk about that more on the forum, like I said, Lori. Okay, so Terry says, thank you, Scott, for your valuable insight. This is back on the email list building. I know it's been a while since I've been to the forum. I'll head back over and catch up. Great. Well, that would be super to see you, Terry. Happy to help. I remember you were working on some cool stuff, so I'd love to hear some more. Okay. Let's see. Terry says, you make a great point about giving away content of value. Not all of it, but enough to inspire others to want more. Yeah, Terry. Okay, there you go. Thank you. You said that more eloquently than I. This is a business of teasers. It would be nice if everybody was always tuned in exactly and you could just kind of mind meld, but it just doesn't work, right? So you've got to tease, and the subject line is the first tease, and then the first couple lines of the content, you just got to keep them reading to the payoff. And thinking about that value delivery is really a copywriting exercise as much as anything. And I don't think we're going to have time today, but we could talk more about copywriting. There are some formulas that one can use that I learned several years ago from my mentors that could help you, it makes it easier, basically. So I would think that would be helpful to you. Sergio, the niche ID checklist is awesome and very practical. Thanks, Sergio. Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about that. Anybody that hasn't downloaded this is a free PDF over at clickmillionaires.com. It's called the Niche Business Identification Checklist. It's a free PDF. It's the same questions I use myself when I'm evaluating new ideas. And this is not something I share lightly. Okay, I've been doing this for 20 years. And before that, I was doing other stuff that was business. I was a banker before that. So figuring out where to invest your time is the most important discussion for any entrepreneur to have. So the Niche Business Identification Checklist, it's actually an expansion. In this book, I had a version of it that I think had like 20 factors to use to rank. And then after I finished the book, I realized how useful it was. I got so much good feedback. I expanded it, and there's a version that's, I think it's 30-plus questions that you can rank any idea you have. You can rank them, and that way you can compare different ideas objectively. And it's free at clickmillionaires.com. It's under the How to Start a Business tab, and you can download that PDF. And I would really encourage you guys, Even Olympic athletes have coaches, okay? I'm coaching you here for free. Download this thing, and it's not perfect. I'm not Einstein, but I've been doing this a long time. And if you have different ideas and you can't decide how to compare them, rank them on this checklist, and it will help you figure out, you know what? This one actually, now I've really thought through, this one is better, right? And that can make all the difference in your future, financially, your independence in the future, your whole life, right? Where you invest your time is the most important discussion for any entrepreneur to have with himself or herself. All right, let me head back here to the Q&A. Okay. So, well, let me talk about this one. I promised Patrick. Gosh, Patrick, I should have done this sooner. I think Patrick's in the Philippines, and he's up super early. Well, maybe by now you're up. I guess I didn't have to do it right away. Maybe it's almost an hour later. So, Patrick, maybe you're now having breakfast and joining us here. So let's talk about this. He says, is Facebook worth all the time and effort spent on it? People on Facebook seem more interested in mundane matters than improving their health. My website is about health. Is it worth paying for a Facebook promotion? Okay, good questions. So, and no easy answers, okay? Let me warn you, no easy answers. Is Facebook worth all the time and effort spent on it? 5 years ago, Facebook was awesome. There's a whole chapter in this this second book of mine, the one I was showing you earlier, E-Rich 2.0. There's a whole chat. Facebook was it. I mean, there were all these people hanging out. It was free. You could reach everybody. It was amazing. But Facebook went public, what, like a year and a half ago, and now they're putting the pedal to the metal to make money for Wall Street, which, you know, of course, is a capitalist society. That makes sense, but they have squeezed the life out of the opportunities for small entrepreneurs. If you post something on your page now, Facebook runs every post through an algorithm and says, I don't know if I like this post. We'll show it to 12 of your friends, and if they like it, then we'll show it to 20 more, and if they like it, then we'll send it to 50 more, and is this constant calculation and review of everything you do to determine whether you get to address your own audience, the people you have spent time and therefore money on participating in the Facebook platform, and now they're throttling everything you do, and it bugs me. I don't think it's cool at all, honestly. I mean, I can understand, again, the capitalist imperative here, but it is really hard to use Facebook, and I hardly use it at all anymore. So that's my answer. This is something we could debate in the forum. I know there are well-respected gurus who continue to say Facebook is just the place, and maybe they know things I don't, which is quite possible. But I honestly don't find it that useful. So if it is useful, Patrick, here's how it will be useful. You have a health website. The beauty of Facebook is that when people go, one of my mentors, well, that's exaggeration. I've only talked to him. I've never actually met him, but there's a guy named Perry Marshall. He's a really smart AdWords, pay-per-click marketing guy a few years ago. And he was on my podcast show one time, and he was talking about how Facebook is like a cafe, but Google's more like a library. By which he meant you go to a library to research something specific. Like they want an alternative cancer therapy. They go to Google, they type in alternative cancer therapy. Hopefully you have optimized your site. They get delivered to your site. Bang. But when they go on Facebook, they're just kind of hanging. It's a cafe. They're at Starbucks, not working Starbucks, but drinking coffee and chatting with your friends Starbucks. And so they're talking about anything. They're talking about the World Cup. They're talking politics. They're talking the latest, criminal story on the news, whatever, their new car. And you have to kind of engage them on a more casual basis. So if you can find people on Facebook that are in the mood, Patrick, that will be easier to do than on Google, because you can go and find the groups that talk about health therapies. You can go find other pages and like them. You can build relationships with other bloggers who use Facebook and build up using the social part of social media to create an audience that you can hopefully then attract over to your website. That's how you do it. It's just harder than ever before to do that. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of Facebook anymore, so I think that there are better ways to do that. And we'll talk about that in the forum. But before we run out of time, I want to talk about the second part of your question. Is it worth paying for a Facebook promotion? Now, this actually is interesting. What Facebook is doing by throttling all your other posts is they're trying to make you pay for those little boosts and promotions and actually ads on Facebook. These are actually kind of a good deal. And this is the kind of jujitsu that Facebook is doing on all of us. They're not letting us do things free anymore, but they're offering pretty good deals on their advertising outreach because they want to suck us all into being advertisers. Again, I can understand that. I don't appreciate it, but I can understand it. So what I would suggest is taking a look at Facebook ads. Yeah, I would experiment a little bit with the promotions that they offer and the pricing that they're giving. And here's why. 10 years ago, I remember having a conversation with my wife actually about how maybe we should just spend a bunch of money on Google ads because we could get a bunch more signups for our lists. And at the time, they seemed expensive. They were, believe it or not, 5 cents, 8 cents, maybe 10 cents per click. Today, those same clicks, easily 50, 80 cents, maybe $1 per click. And that's just a click. 10 years ago, you could get them for like 10% of what they cost now. And I suspect that Facebook is going to do the same thing. So if you have, no guarantees of course, but if you've got $100 or $1,000, I think there are probably worse ways to spend it as an internet entrepreneur these days than to go run some tests on Facebook. Use those ads, target them very specifically. Don't just, they'll encourage you to just blow your money, just like Google AdWords will. Target it to very specific niches. People have specifically expressed interest in your topic, your type of products or services, and write some good ad copy, right? It can't just be humdrum, boring stuff. It's got to be clickable. Use some good images, right? Make it a project. And then try it. And there are some real deals, and I've got there's several members in our MasterMinds forum who are doing this and making some very profitable exchanges, put it that way, with of their money for Facebook Facebook visitors and customers. And that's something we talk about at MasterMinds a lot, actually. So I'd recommend that to you as an experiment at least. And I think that that's where Facebook is still a value to smaller entrepreneurs like all of us. All right, so, man, that's a lot of stuff, and we're almost through here. I've got a quotation I want to share with you that I think will be helpful and inspiring. One thing I wanted to throw in before we run out of time was there is a new site that I'm running, and I want to invite you guys to list yourselves. It's called interviewguestsdirectory.com, interviewguestsdirectory.com, and some of the people in the chat room here actually are listed, and it's exactly what it sounds like. This is not a high-concept idea. It's just the idea that you are a marketer, you want to get some publicity. A great way to get publicity is to have journalists, bloggers, radio hosts interview you and talk about your stuff together, right? Publicity. So listings in this directory are really cheap right now. They're started, I think, $4.99 a month, which is obviously less than a bagel, at lunch. And if you want to try it, there's a month free trial even, because we're just getting going. It doesn't have huge traffic yet, but it's a new concept, and it's an easy way to get your name out there. We've got 20 different categories of experts, so that the radio hosts and bloggers and magazine reporters, they're going to find you really well. We've search engine optimized the site, so if you're an expert on law or psychology or family relationships, or you're a life coach, or you love old movies or whatever it is, we have categories for all those things. And interviewguestsdirectory.com is open now, and it's this price is only going to go up, and the free trial is going to shorten. So if you're interested, go list yourself as an expert if you'd like to get publicity interviews for free. All right. So we're near the end of the hour already, and thank you all for joining me. I wanted to share with you a quotation I ran across the other day, as well as a little commentary on it, because it really struck me as a sort of a wake-up call. And I addressed this earlier in the show, but here's the punchline. This is from Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was a amazingly talented, sort of groundbreaking American salesman and sales coach. One of the first guys to really take sales training out to the masses, and had some great motivational books and tapes and all that kind of stuff if you were alive back in the 80s and 90s when he was most active. Anyway, here's a quotation from him that I really liked. If you wait until all the lights are green before you leave home, you'll never get started on your trip to the top. If you wait until all the lights are green before you leave home, you'll never get started on your trip to the top. Zig Ziglar. I think that is the truth, and it's what I was saying earlier. If you are waiting for something, it's time to stop waiting. The lights are never all going to be green. You're never going to have all the time you want. You're never going to have all the extra money you want. You're never going to have the perfect website designer and the perfect niche idea and the perfect amount of time to spend marketing and writing blog posts or playing on Twitter or whatever it is you think you need to do to create the content, to build the audience, to make the money, to create and design the lifestyle that you want as a Click Millionaire. The lights are never all going to be green. So you either give up or you get to move on. And this is what I was saying earlier. It's the #1 thing I see people do. They think they can do it all in their heads. You know, you read my books, and I'm thrilled you read my books. Thanks. You know, like I said, you read enough of my books, and now people are buying them in Polish. You know, and this is the second book of my books to be in Polish, actually. You know, I love that you read the books, but you got to stop reading books, and you got to actually do stuff. And you can research and watch YouTube videos all day. And you can talk to your friends in the forum about stuff too, but you're going to have to pick that domain name. The lights are never all going to be green at the same time. And the way that you're going to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to succeed is by trying. Taking those steps, stumbling. This is more like a baby learning to walk, right? You got to stand up and fall down and stand up again. And if you do this in lots of little bites, it actually is a lot less risky than if you spend a year thinking and planning and strategizing and reading everything on earth to the point where you think, I really, really got it. And then you start, and maybe it doesn't take off immediately, and you've lost a year. And maybe a lot of money, too. Whereas if you would just take some small steps and get going, take a bunch of little green lights, and then some red lights and yellow lights along the way, take the small steps, that will get you up the staircase faster than trying to leap the whole staircase in one jump. Hey, that's pretty good. That's a quotation I'm going to come up with for myself there. Stairs and something like that, right? All right, so once again, if you wait until all the lights are green before you leave home, you'll never get started on your trip to the top. So there you go. I hope that's helpful to you. Basically, just experiment. That's right. That's what AE is saying in the chat room. That's right. You got to get out there and you got to play the game to score any runs. There's another metaphor. There we go. I'm full of it today. Metaphors, that is. So thanks for being here, and I hope that you all had a good time, and I hope you'll come over to the forum. ClickMillionaires.com is the place. I'm Scott Fox. If you want to work more directly with me, Click Millionaires Masterminds Forum is available at mastermindsforum.com. Would be happy to have you there. And it's a smaller private group. We could work together there. And what else did we talk about? EasyGraphicsMaker.com if you need help with your sales page graphics. InterviewGuestsDirectory.com if you want some publicity. Those are all services of mine. Different little experiments to prove our point. You know, just to keep things moving, keep things working, and hopefully helping you too. And by the way, all the profits from my books and as much as I can afford to from the forum go back to the community, to children's college scholarships. And if you'd like some of that money for yourself, come and be one of our most active members, win a Community Star Award, and you'll get a share of our banner ad revenue every month. I don't know any other forum that does that, so I'm looking out for you as best I can. Thanks for being here. Let's go over to the forum and say hello, and I hope that you have a great week and a great August, and that you all stay cool. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you showing up. Please tell your friends and invite them too. We'll see you next time on Video Office Hours. Thanks.